Hello again. It's no secret that DBZ Games like to bully Yamcha, with the Budokai series being the biggest offender. From having Yamcha be the only character that gets insta-killed by Cyberman's ulti, to Infinite World making him the only Z fighter to be crushed by the gravity room.
This gravity! I can't even move!
Today, we have another new addition to the collection, and unsurprisingly, it's also from the Budokai series, specifically Infinite World. The journey leads us to Snake Way, a 1 million kilometer long and narrow path located in Otherworld, above Hell. After their untimely demise at the hands of the Saiyan Onslaught, the Z fighters found themselves navigating this treacherous path. First up was Goku, who took 177 days to complete the run and reach King Kai. But in this game, we only get 5 minutes? Not a whole lot, but Infinite World Snake Way isn't nearly as long as the original, so those 5 minutes are actually more than enough. Still, some players might find themselves unable to complete the run in time, and as a reward, or I guess punishment, they'll unlock a short mission failed cutscene unique to each character. I think you all know where this is heading.
What? At this rate, I won't get to King Kai before the year is out!
This one isn't that bad actually. It references that goofy run Goku occasionally did during his Snake Way trip. After beating Snake Way with Goku, we unlock Tien, Piccolo, and Yamcha. Piccolo's failed cutscene is actually pretty funny.
Darn it, I don't believe this.
It feels weird seeing serious characters like this. Same with Tien.
I can't believe how long this road is.
You know it's serious when veins start popping out, so what about Yamcha?
Check me out, I'm great!
Yamcha?
Witness Yamcha the Great's true power!
Wait, is that the new Red Magic 11 Pro? This video is brought to you by Red Magic and their brand new creation, the Red Magic 11 Pro. Out of all the phones they sent me, this one may be my favorite. Why? Let me turn it around for you. The phone features the all-new Aqua Core cooling system. That's right, the first mass-produced phone to feature actual liquid cooling. And the coolest thing by far is that you actually see the liquid pumping and circulating inside. Safe to say, overheating won't be an issue during gaming sessions. Speaking of which, Android gaming was never a problem in previous Red Magic phones, so you can imagine how effortlessly this one handles it. The phone is, to put it bluntly, a beast. Equipped with a beautiful AMOLED screen running at 144Hz, no camera bumps, the camera is beneath the display, and a massive 7500 mAh battery that can be charged from 0 to 100 in about 50 minutes. The Red Magic 11 Pro ensures long and buttery smooth gaming sessions. Oh, and I can't forget about the signature shoulder triggers, the best feature for anyone who loves playing shooters on mobile devices. Aside from the shoulder triggers, you also have a plethora of options that enhance performance, save battery, and a dozen other unique customizable settings and plugins to play with. And of course, the phone can run your favorite console Dragon Ball games, from the PS2 classics all the way to modern Dragon Ball games, with FighterZ being my favorite to play on the go. The Red Magic 11 Pro is out now and available worldwide in various editions and colors. Grab the brand new Red Magic 11 Pro today by clicking my link in the description or the pinned comment.
I'll try to finish soon!
He sounds strangely confident. Alright, let's see what Yamcha's cutscene looks like.
Darn it! Just too long!
You know, just like with the gravity room, Yamcha once again gets some special treatment when it comes to cutscenes. As to which Z fighter got done more dirty, Piccolo, Tien, or Yamcha, I'll let you guys decide. Dragon Ball FighterZ is a traditional 3v3 fighting game. You won't see many of the lore-accurate quirks we've come to expect from the games featured on this channel. Your fusions won't diffuse, your Kaioken won't drain your health the longer you use it, and Broly won't tank everything you throw at him. Actually, that one might still hold up.
Oh no.
The point still largely remains true though. Still, it is a Dragon Ball game at the end of the day, so some quirks from the source material are bound to make their way through. One of those quirks is the summoning Shenron mechanic. In FighterZ, you can collect Dragon Balls throughout the fight. How do you collect them? You just fight. Essentially, you get them by performing combos, but the easiest way is to just use the light combo. Each light combo gives you a Dragon Ball. Repeat the process 7 times and you've got all 7. Now it's time to summon Shenron. How do you do it? You just do the combo again. Shenron offers you 4 types of wishes: a heal, a stat boost, health regen, and a revive. The cool thing is that every character has voice dialogue for each wish, with the funniest ones being Boo and Janemba, who just make random demon noises that Shenron seemingly understands perfectly.
State your wish. I just have to grant the one wish, correct? A very easy wish. I have granted your wish.
3 characters really stand out though: Goku, Vegeta, and Android 16. Early to mid-Z Goku remarks that immortality isn't really something he desires.
I'm not really interested in that.
However, by the time we get to the Cell Saga and onward, his opinions shift a little.
I want to keep fighting forever.
And then we have Vegeta. As you'd expect, Saiyan to Frieza Saga Vegeta is delighted to have his immortality wish granted.
Make me immortal!
However, similar to Goku, his Cell Saga and onward version also shows a shift in worldview.
Immortality, huh? I'll leave that sort of thing to Frieza.
I thought this was an extremely clever detail by the devs, you know, showcasing the character progression of the two throughout the series. Then, there's also Android 16. Even though 16 himself states the wish doesn't work on him,
That function is useless to me.
the game still applies the healing effect, just like it would for anyone else. The same goes for the revive wish. Shenron would also bring 16 back to life, which technically shouldn't work, but it still happens, because otherwise 16 players would be at a disadvantage. Still, judging by that quote, it's obvious the devs were aware of this. They just probably didn't want to mess up the game's balance. Cell likes to suck people, and he also likes to drain people.
I'm gonna drain you dry.
And apparently, he also likes to polish his tail? It's pretty much a given that if first or second form Cell are playable in the game, either their grab or super move is going to feature him draining energy with his tail. However, I doubt many would expect his perfect form to do the same thing. His tail retracted upon reaching that form, and in canon, he was never shown using it again, aside from spitting out his Cell Juniors. Which is exactly why I was taken aback a bit when I first played the Shin Budokai games on the BSP. In those games, just like with his first 2 forms, Cell was able to extend his tail and drain energy from his opponents. I can't be the only one that thinks this looks off, right? I actually covered this in one of my early videos back in December 2022, and some of you were quick to point out that Cell was seen using his tail in GT, which is why it sort of made sense that he could do it in the Shin Budokai games. I guess that explanation kind of works. But I mean, Cell was trying to absorb Goku, not drain his energy like the Cell from the Shin Budokai games is trying to. Still, I could make sense of it. Perfect Cell from Burst Limit, on the other hand, he doesn't exactly use his tail to drain energy, but he does use something else. Any guesses? Well, if you played Burst Limit, you already know. But for all of you who didn't, Super Perfect Cell, that's right, Super Perfect, not regular perfect. He uses his hand to suck the energy out of his opponents. And just like with Cell in the Shin Budokai games, I'm once again left confused. I get the reference. He drains energy like 19 and 20, the 2 energy-draining androids. And even though Cell is technically an energy-draining android, he was never shown draining energy in his perfect form, let alone using his hands. Is it a reference to something outside of Z? Or perhaps a random creative decision by the dev team? Continuing with bizarre details from Burst Limit, have you guys noticed just how freaky the Cybermen in this game are? In my Secrets episode from July 2024, I briefly mentioned how oddly they behave. From those Resident Evil licker-like crawling animations to sticking out their tongues in situations where they probably don't need to. Oh, and take a look at their posing and expressions whenever you sidestep with them. On top of everything, they also seem to enjoy the pain inflicted upon them. I'm no expert in plant alien behavior, but the expressions they make when getting hit certainly don't look like they mind it. Upon replaying Burst Limit recently, I noticed 2 more instances of their bizarre behavior. When you hit someone with an ultimate in this game, a brief cinematic plays where the character on the receiving end is shown with a pained expression while taking damage from the attack. But the Cybermen, they strangely seem to take joy in it. And perhaps the most, or second most bizarre thing about them is the pose they make when the player remains idle.
Kakarot!
If their goal was to make you feel slightly uncomfortable while playing with or against them, I'd say they did a good job. The Raging Blast games often get overlooked when people talk about the Tenkaichi series, most likely because they weren't as popular or commercially successful as the latter. Oh, and having a completely different name probably didn't help. But despite that, the Raging Blast games were the original successors to the PS2 Tenkaichi titles, at least until Sparking Zero came along. In fact, you can even find the entire Tenkaichi 3 game hidden within Raging Blast's files. Even though they were basically Tenkaichi successors, the Raging Blast games did bring something totally new to the table, a mechanic never seen before or since. Signature moves. Judging by the name, I think it's pretty easy to guess what they're about. Kid Buu extends his arms and performs a 5-hit combo. Fat Buu flings a wad of bubblegum at the opponent, which knocks them straight to the ground on contact. Piccolo, who's my personal favorite by the way, extends his arms an impressive distance to grab the opponent and pull them toward him. Gotenks spins like a Beyblade, and Gohan fires what the game describes as a blast of compressed air, which travels much faster than a ki blast and staggers the opponent. Goldo has a really cool one. His signature move is a counter type, meaning it only activates when the opponent attacks you. Now, he isn't the only one with a counter type signature move, but his is by far the most unique, because when an opponent's attack lands, he literally freezes time and teleports behind his opponent. There are also evasive signatures, which remind me a lot of the ones from Xenoverse. I honestly have no idea how people feel about these, since I've legitimately never heard anyone talk about them. I guess I have to ask you guys, do you remember them? Were they a good addition to the game? Oh, and I have to mention this one, since it's kind of hilarious. You might have noticed that I haven't mentioned Vegeta's signature move. Can you guess what Vegeta's signature move is? I don't think I even have to say it. But I find it funny because people started memeing on Vegeta's signature technique only in the early 2020s. Meanwhile, Spike, the devs behind both the Tenkaichi games and Raging Blast, were already poking fun at Vegeta's spamming tendencies way back in 2009. I also like how every form of Vegeta has Ki Blast spam as his signature move, except Majin Vegeta. It just shows how far gone he was at that point that he even stopped using his very own signature technique. Ground slashes. Everyone knows them, and everyone hates getting hit by them. A simple leg sweep attack that's good for extending combos or breaking your opponent's guard. For the most part, there isn't anything notable to say about them. I guess Beathan's ground slash is pretty cool since he actually stomps your opponent's feet instead of a usual sweep, but that's pretty much it. Or is it? Goku also has something actually very unique. Now, he doesn't have it in Sparking Zero. Just take a look for yourself. It's a pretty basic, effective, but a basic leg sweep. I guess it's no surprise considering they ported it from Tenkaichi 3. Sadly, they went all out with faithfulness to BT3, and just like back then, all the adult versions of Goku have the same ground slash, which is a bit odd since they could have just copied it from a game they made 15 years earlier. That's right, we're circling back to Raging Blast. Unlike the Tenkaichi series, the Raging Blast games don't have multiple variations of the same character. Some people like that and some people don't, but that's beside the point. Goku in Raging Blast not only has the most unique animation for a ground slash in the game, but also arguably in the entire Tenkaichi series. You know what? Let me just play it. I don't know whose idea it was not only to include the sweep from the Birder and Jace fight, but to take the reference a step further by making the recovery animation the same little breakdancing move from that fight. As you can imagine, that little breakdance movement adds some extra recovery frames compared to the other leg sweeps, but I believe it's a worthy sacrifice. Style over meta, no? Sadly, like the signature moves, Goku's ground slash would also become just another cool addition that was abandoned along with the whole Raging Blast series. I don't know how controversial this is, but I think Budokai 3 may just have the most lore-accurate implementation of fusions ever. Basically, once you fuse, a counter pops up below your health bar to show you how much time you have left. And depending on what form you're in, that counter will either drain faster or slower. Gotenks is a great example. In base, he lasts roughly 30 seconds before defusing. Super Gotenks about 19 to 20 seconds. And Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks is somewhere in the 13 to 14 seconds range. It's pretty faithful to the show. On the other end, we have the Potara fusion. Unlike the fusion dance, Potara fusion doesn't have any sort of time counter since the fusion is permanent. Pretty cool attention to detail, but I'm sure everyone already knows that. Here's something that caught me off guard on a recent playthrough. You know how the Budokai games have those little button pressing mini games when you attempt to fuse? If you fail the input, you get Veku, the fat fusion, or the malnourished version if you're playing as Tien and Yamcha. Well, the Potara fusion sequence also has a minigame, but as we all know, there aren't any failed versions of the Potara fusion, because Potara is the superior fusion. I'm just kidding, I'm a Vegeta fan. So if there aren't any failed variations of the Potara fusion, then what could possibly happen when you mess up the inputs?
Ah, he actually breaks it. Yeah, that makes sense.
Pretty cool, but now we get to the part that really impressed me. I was showcasing that short cutscene that plays when you fail a Potara fusion to my friend, but then I tried to perform it again and... nothing.
Is my game glitching?
No, the game was working perfectly fine. It just turns out that when your opponent crushes the Potara during a cutscene, it isn't just visual flair. The game will completely disable inputs for the fusion. Really clever, dimps. With how Budokai's capsule system works, once your Potara gets crushed, you'll be completely naked. Figuratively, as in you won't have any transformations, supers, or ultimates. I guess it's their way of adding some risk and reward to a fusion that lasts indefinitely, at least at the time this game came out. Later Budokai games had this running gag of adding a screen shake effect whenever Broly took a step. This tradition carried over to the next generation, with Broly having the same effect and burst limit. Sadly, after burst limit, no game has done it since. Granted, we also haven't really seen a Budokai type fighting game since, so maybe that explains it. But all is not lost, as we actually have a small remnant of this feature in FighterZ. Every fighter has a unique walking animation, tailor-made to match their character. And yes, that also includes the big man. But Broly is a bit special. Every time a character takes a step, you can hear a faint stepping sound effect. Now, Broly is no exception. He has one too. However, his sound effects are a bit less faint and a lot more noticeable. He doesn't literally shake the screen like in the Budokai series, but his footsteps definitely make it sound like the ground is shaking. I don't know if this was a reference to the Budokai games or just Broly's size in general. Either way, I thought it was worth mentioning. Ki Blast Cannon is one of the most common combo moves in the Tenkaichi series, so I did the math, and about 60% of the roster has it in their arsenal. Even though the move is extremely common, there's a certain character group that you'll never see using it. Androids. I stumbled onto this while testing something completely unrelated, and I noticed the pattern with Android 16, 19, and 20. After following up on it, I realized that not a single Android in the game can use the Ki Blast Cannon combo. Of course, it makes total sense. They don't use Ki. But since the move is so common, I never really put two and two together until I tested it with everyone. There is something odd though.
Don't get too cocky, number two.
Yeah, I know.
The two Gammas. They're full-blown androids that don't use Ki. Seriously, any blast type move they do is going to be through their energy Roboglocks. But despite that, both of them are still able to use the Ki Blast Cannon. It's a bit different than your usual Ki Blast Cannon. It looks more like a blaster wave, but according to the game, it's definitely a Ki Blast Cannon. An oversight? Or possibly something more. Here's a small detail hidden in plain sight, but with how fast the Tenkaichi games move, it might as well be invisible. A lot of characters have the Kamehameha as a super move or an ultimate. Hell, even Trunks has it. There are a lot of versions of this attack, but today's focus is gonna be on the original Kamehameha. Literally. The move is called Original Kamehameha, and it's performed by none other than the legendary Turtle Hermit himself.
Ready to give up?
Roshi's Kamehameha has the most unique animation, as he actually goes through the entire prep sequence before firing it. That's pretty cool on its own, but it gets even better. For a split second after firing, Roshi briefly gets exhausted and takes a moment to catch his breath. A small callback to OG Dragon Ball, which is never a bad thing. But the animation is so fast and ends so abruptly that it's no wonder it took me so long to notice. What's even more bizarre is that I've never seen him do that in Sparking Zero. I've played as Roshi a dozen times and fought against Roshi spammers even more, especially during the pre-first patch era of Sparking Zero. And yet, I've never seen him hit that pose in Sparking Zero. And there's a good reason for that. Sparking Zero removed it, which is extremely confusing, considering how many unique Kamehameha animations they have over there. It's not a huge deal or anything, but with how scarce OG Dragon Ball content in this game is, I'll take whatever I can get, even if it's just a small reference. Thank you all for watching. Do let me know what you want to see next. I'm still working on that Sparking Zero special. Hopefully it'll be ready soon. Till then, take care.